Welcome to the National Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal weekly webcast series. This week we are covering the National Indian Gaming Association Trade Show 2021 Announcement and Conversation Part 3. My name is Ashley Cope and I'm the Marketing Manager for the Indian Gaming Tradeshow and Convention. Before we get started, I just wanted to share a few housekeeping tips. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question or chat box and they will be brought up at the end. This session is also being recorded, so it will be available on our website as well. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce Victor Rocha, Conference Chairman of the National Indian Gaming Association.
Thank you, Ashley. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Rocha. I'm the Conference Chairman for the National Gaming Association, as Ashley just said. First of all, welcome. I would like to before we dig into this, I would like to welcome my guests. For the last 6 months, maybe, we've been working on this conference. Normally, we have a lot more time, and this has been a real truncated schedule and timeline, and it's been very challenging, but I think that we did it. I'm feeling really good about the show. And, the reason why we're having today's webcast is to talk about it and let you guys ask some questions. But before we dive into it, let me invite my guests. Let me invite, obviously, our glorious leader, Chairman Ernie Stevens Jr. from the National Indian Gaming Association, also tribal member from the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin, I believe. And then also our dear friend, Brian Sullivan. He's the VP of Gaming for US of Clarion Gaming Group and our conference organizer, and then also my co-host Jason Giles. So everyone, welcome. How are you guys doing?
Good, real good.
Good, very good.
So how are you guys all ready for Vegas?
Yeah, big time ready for Vegas. Our numbers are good, and we're really excited. Indian folks, once they get to Vegas, it seems like we own the town there. One thing I'm a little concerned about, though, is that I don't think our machines the machines in Vegas are as loose as the slot machines in Indian country, just to my own personal opinion.
In no way those things are loose, especially after a post-pandemic. You know what I mean? You have to use a hammer. Yeah. You have to use a hammer to get money out of those things. That's the only way you're going to be doing. Jason, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome.
Good. Not too bad.
How are you feeling, man? You ready for the show?
Yeah, we're ready. I mean, first big show in Indian country. The numbers are looking really good, really strong. There's going to be, a lot of folks from Indian country out there. So it'll be a good first run through, I guess, for big shows, big events, and we're looking forward to it. What else can you say? Vegas and 113-degree heat, good time.
Yeah, I've tried to leave out the 113-degree heat, even though I've been getting emails from my friend. I got one yesterday from Chris Grove saying that his brain is melting. He lives in Vegas right now. So, yeah, but I've seen his brain. That's it. He'll be better off than most of us anyhow. Brian Sullivan, my dear friend, how are you doing, brother?
Great, Victor. Jason, Chairman, always great to see and participate with you. Things are going very well. There's a lot of excitement. We're actually hearing from people. We said it's the first one in Indian country, but it's the first one globally as well. So we're actually hearing from around the world. We're hearing people are interested. They want to know what's going on, and I think Indian country is going to experience a great success coming up next week. One thing I do want to mention right off, that folks do note that it's Caesars Forum Convention Center. It's attached to Harrah's, and it's at the Ferris wheel. So it's not Caesar's Palace. So we're just trying to hammer that home so that everybody is in the right place. So, but other than that, ready, set, go. Curtains going up.
Yeah, and Brian brings up a really good issue, and it is one of my talking points, is the fact that the venue is called Caesars Forum. The long name is Caesars Forum Las Vegas Convention Center, but it's not at Caesars. It's actually across the street right behind Harrah's, underneath the observation wheel. So, it's I know some people are a little confused by that. And so, that was one of the things that we wanted to drive home, is that to get to the show, you go to Harrah's, or one of the things that I absolutely love about this location is that you can stay at any, although we recommend that you stay at the NIGA casinos, our affiliate hotels, but you could stay anywhere along the strip where the monorail is, and the monorail drops you off right at the observation wheel. You come right down the stairs and you walk right into the convention center. So we really saved a lot of walking. The location has turned out to be much more, it's much better than we had hoped. First of all, Brian, let's talk about this location. Let's talk about this venue. Okay, so we're not only the first gaming conference in the world to come out, but we're also the first physical gaming conference, by the way. We're also the first real big show into this new venue over at the Caesars Forum Las Vegas Convention Center, behind the Harrah's Casino, underneath the observation wheel, which is how I think we should be saying this. So this place is amazing, Brian. It is like, when we walk the venue, it is massive. How big is this place?
525,000 square feet with no columns. It's 4 big rooms, and we're using them all. Caesars has had a few smaller events go in, but this event, the NIGA event, will be the first full run of the event. And I've been on the phone constantly with them to make sure that everything is going to be in the right place at the right time. And I'm confident that it's going to be good. Everything from registration to the food and beverage, everything. It's a sensational. It's the nicest convention center I've ever been in.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
yeah.
I really love the place.
The nice thing that I really love that nobody mentions is the fact that it's all carpeted, which is really going to save our dogs at the very end of the day, but you can guarantee you're going to be walking miles and miles and miles because of the size of the venue, but it'll be comfortable. We're all going to lose weight. We're all going to be doing business. We're all going to be having a great time. So the venue, I love the location. I think my only issue has been the name and the confusion that has caused. But we've sent out emails to our registration attendees to try to help them define it so they can know where it's at. I've talked to a couple people that were staying over at Caesars because they thought that's where we're at. But even there, it won't be hard. It's all in the same area, very easy to get to. 500,000 square feet, and we're going to be the first one there to shake out the bugs, which is always a little nerve-wracking, but I think it's going to be fine. It's just, I love the fact that everything is carpeted. It's brand new. The ceilings are like 30 feet high. So it's just really, really nice, very choice. They probably won't let us back in after we're done. So enjoy it while you have it, right? Jason, how you doing, man?
Good. I mean, I'm unfortunately with a lot of people who are going out there blind in a sense. I have not seen the new venue, and haven't been to Vegas, since March 9th, 2019. So it'll be like a brand new experience. But we've got to just be cognizant of what Clark County's requiring at this point, and Chairman's been specific. We've all been specific. You should have the vaccine, and if you're at our show and you're not vaccinated, masks will be required. So, we're hoping everybody comes out there to have a good time, but everybody's got that shot, and helping reduce the transmission and just helping not get as sick as you might otherwise get without the vaccine. So that's what we're focusing on first and foremost, is safety. But then we just roll into 2 shows, and it's going to be, hope everybody can find their way around, and we're going to have as much signage as possible, and encouraging folks to read that signage, because you got Res over here and NIGA right next to Res. Our show is out back of the hotels. Hopefully you won't have to go outside too much, and it's all sort of self-contained right there at those Caesar properties. So it's going to be big, exciting, and fun, but hopefully everyone can find their way around.
Yeah, and before I dig into the ideal masks and stuff like that, again, one of the nice things is that you are able to take the tram, the monorail from NIGA to Res, and I believe it's only one stop, so you can save that walk and just pop right upstairs to head on over to Res and come
Yeah,
back and
Victor,
forth too. Yes.
Vic, if I could chime in, and I think it's important. That's a good point. Don't be afraid of the tram. You know, just walk across and get up on that thing. My wife had to. From experience, my wife took me up on the tram and showed me how to work it. We were there just like that. It was.
Yeah, and you know what? When we were walking the property, that was one of the things that I pointed out and asked them was the fact that the tram was there. So I think for a lot of our elders and a lot of people who have mobility issues, I think this is really, really helpful. It's a big venue. We highly recommend that you give yourself enough time to walk the venue. But like I said, it's carpeted. I think a lot of our elders will feel very comfortable in the space. It's clean, it's big, and stuff like that. Brian, Jason, I'd like. Go ahead, Chairman.
Yeah, it's a long hallway, but it's like it's going to be full with Indians, and
Right.
and the convention center, the trade show floor is right there. I think it's I did a walkthrough. And I'll tell you what, I'm a guy gets lost easy. I get a lot lost going around the corner, but I did my walkthrough. I found it pretty accessible, and it is huge, but it's all us. It's all us. It's all
Right.
Indian gaming. So I think we're good there. And yes, you're right. It's hot outside, but I love the heat. Every morning, and I was in Vegas in my walkthrough. I was there for 3 days. I walked every morning. I walked all over the place. I love the heat, but at the same time, when I got the suit and tie on, we like to get to where we're going. I think the signage is pretty deliberate. As big as it is, I don't think it's that confusing to find your way around. So I think we're going to be in good shape, and look forward to hanging out with the folks at the National Center and Res 2021. I think it's going to be just a hit. I think it's going to be very historical.
Yeah. And by the way, Steve Pastorino said the forecast high is about 100, not 113. So it's balmy. I think the big heat wave that they just had has gone. So I think, 100 degrees is not bad for Vegas. Actually, it's actually kind of spring-like for Vegas.
Yeah.
But so Jason, let's go back to that issue, because I think that is one of the important issues. The thing with this conference is you need, when the shutdown happened and we had to cancel our show 2 weeks out, which, as you can imagine, was pretty traumatic for all of us. And we were trying to figure out what would be the good time to come back again. And so it was a real crapshoot for us to shoot for July. We just felt, when we spoke with Res, it just felt like the right thing to do. They were like, listen, we're going regardless if you guys are going or not. And we're like, well, you know what, that just can't be better for us. I think the strategy was, to have an event, have two events where that, we have so many Native Americans in the same space that the industry can't ignore us. And that's exactly what happened, is that now everyone's starting to get excited about the event. And they see that it's happening, that we're talking about gaming, we're talking about sports betting, all the players will be here. So, why wouldn't people be talking about this? But, we were hoping, initially when we did it, we'd hoped to do something in October, and then we were looking at November, but the pandemic kept us, from doing it. We weren't seeing any changes until till in January. So that's when we decided to roll the dice for July and Las Vegas. But one of the things, as we've seen, they're starting to see an uptick. The big issue is the unvaccinated, these variants, and people just feeling that it's okay. And I think we, as the National Gaming Association, along with our brothers and sisters over at the National Center for the American Indian Prize Development, we're going to say, listen, masks aren't mandatory, but they're preferred. We really want you to wear your masks. If you're vaccinated, then you won't need them if you're not vaccinated. But, I personally am vaccinated, and I also was positive in December. So I will be wearing my mask. I don't want to bring it home. I just don't want to take any chances. I think we all have to still be very careful, not to be reckless, not to be careless with the health of our family and our friends and our tribal members when we go back home. So I think it's still very important that we're taking all the precautions that are available to us. So we're going to be in an environment where a lot of people are not wearing masks. They're not. So I think we have to be responsible to ourselves and have this self-responsibility to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our families. That's about right, Jason?
Yeah, Victor, a couple of things about that. Let's just remember, January was not that long ago. And in the month of January, we were averaging about 240,000 new COVID cases a day. That was, less than 6 months ago. So to come forward now where we were down below 10,000 a day, but now we're pushing back above 30,000 a day, it's still a far cry from 240, but it is troublesome. And unfortunately, Clark County, Nevada in particular, and it's just because of the amount of tourism that's starting to uptick again, and everybody going to Vegas again, they're getting hit right now. So you've got to be extra vigilant out in Las Vegas right now. You do not want to, have your trip and your show end up in, having to visit the hospital or worse. So we're preaching safety from that standpoint. Secondly, because of all the restrictions you just stated and what Clark County is requiring of us and the city of Las Vegas, it is going to be a different trade show experience. We're limited in terms of, like, for example, the welcome reception on Monday night. That's capped at 1,200 people, and as far as I know, they've reached that limit. And I've already gotten, and I only found out about that today because a whole bunch of people have been contacting me for tickets to that welcome reception, and they have space limitations, and they're not doing the social distancing, but they're not going to cram 3,000 people into a venue. They're going to keep it at, something manageable on 3 floors. So if you can't get into events, if you're at a reception in like one of these smaller rooms and it's standing room only and you're shoulder to shoulder reaching over the bar trying to get a drink, that you should probably avoid those situations. And we're doing our best to keep people out of those situations, but you should use common sense at this point. If it's full, it's full. And there'll be other parties and other receptions. You're not going to miss out on too much if you have to skip a reception. But just know it's a little bit of a different trade show, even though we're together with Rez and there's going to be a lot of people there. Certain things are still going to be hard to get into.
Yeah, it really is about personal responsibility and making sure that, you take care of yourself and you take care of your family. I think we all know that. I think we've all been through over a year of that. And I think one of the things to be optimistic about is the fact that Native Americans are vaccinated at a higher rate than the rest of the general population. And that has a lot to do with us, our tribes, our leadership, and the fact that, we're very fortunate to have a lot of great leaders in Indian country. So I think, the fact that we are there is something to be positive about, but we still have to be very cautious. Go
Victor,
ahead.
That is something that probably has not gotten much attention from our organization, but also from NIHB and NCAI, who traditionally deal more in the healthcare realm. The Indian country, it's got to be the leader in vaccination, because, and I'll give you an example, Oklahoma, when the vaccines first came out, Oklahoma was number 1 for a number of months in the rate of vaccination. And now Oklahoma is in the bottom 10 of total population who are vaccinated. So who was leading that initial charge? It was the tribes in Oklahoma. They were all getting their vaccines, lining up for their vaccines, and they really helped, push the vaccination rate to a high level early on. But now we're seeing, as time goes on, some of those same areas are now in the bottom 10. When initially, Alaska's another one, where we were like, wow, can you believe Oklahoma's like number 1 in vaccination rate so far? It turns out it was the IHS and the tribal governments just getting shots in arms, something like we frankly hadn't seen before, an Indian health service that was responsive and on time and safe and efficient, all the things that we've never associated IHS with before. Man, they had those vaccines out to the tribes within days, and we're getting people vaccinated. So Indian country has just done a phenomenal job, which should make us all feel good going into this show.
Yeah, and I know my tribe has a really high vaccination rate also, and that came from our tribal leaderships and emails, right, and being active. And I know when I got vaccinated, my very first one, I was in the car, I was driving home, and I got a follow-up phone call, and I hadn't even gotten home. Yeah. So they were on top of it, and I think that's one of the advantages that we have in Indian country is that we do have a high vaccination rate, but still we can't afford to be responsible, and we can't afford to take our hands off the wheel. You know what I mean? We still have a long way to go. Jason mentioned something that's really important here too, is the fact, and Brian mentioned it, is registration going through the roof, man, going through the roof. And we're really excited about that because, and within means, we're trying to create a business environment, a place where we can all get back and do business and make deals and stuff like that. And, you can't do it without people. So I think our strategy of teaming up with Res is really paying off in spades. I think the fact that, like you said, we're one of the first ones out and people are really excited to do business and stuff. But, we didn't know, man. I have to tell you, it was very nerve-wracking, right, Brian? We would have been happy with 2,000, you know what I mean? And so we're like almost 3 times that, you know what I mean? So we're definitely at 5,000. I think there's going to be more. I got a feeling there's going to be more walk-ups on a Tuesday and Wednesday and stuff like that, when people see that how we've created this environment, a business environment, stuff like that. What do you think, Brian? What do you think about registration? How's that working for us, man?
It's exactly as you stated, Victor. It's very good. And, to come up with an exact number right now is tough because, the folks from Res are invited over and they're not in the this system here. So we don't know the exact calculation of what they will be yet until we get there, because how many people are going to come from Res? I don't know. We don't know yet. So we just have to do a wait and see on it. But bottom line is we are being contacted by folks around the world. There were some folks from outside of the country that were trying to get in. I'm not sure that they're all going to make it, but but the registrations are doing very well.
Wow, that's excited. What do you think about that, Chairman?
I continue to be excited. I was cautious, just like everybody else going into this thing. But I thought, we had enough time to continue to do what we're doing today, and that what we'll do throughout the conference, and that we'll continue to do after the conference, is promote the vaccine, promote social distance, and promote safety. And I think that's what we've really done. And the vaccine numbers, they're nowhere near what we need to be, but they're higher than we ever thought we could. And we got to keep pushing that way. We got to keep pressing that way to make sure our folks get vaccinated. I can't tell anybody what to do, but I think that anybody that is either not vaccinated or not wearing a mask is irresponsible at this point. I think that with the Delta variant out there, I think we all have to do our best to, if we're big and brave, can go without a mask and a shot, that's your business, but don't put anybody else in a place where they potentially could be victims of that irresponsibility. So I really think that even the folks that have the very few folks that have this posture, they should be careful, be respectful, because I think for the most part, everybody's masking up, everybody's getting the vaccine. And I think one of the things is that with our tribes, we worked with our states and local governments and everybody. We're all in this together right from day one. We continue to battle back from shutting down our casinos, shutting down our industry so that we could get this country safe again. And we did that cooperatively with local, state, government, and we communicated with the federal government. We've really done a good job here. Let's keep doing it. Let's take this thing into the finish line where we all cross together. It's kind of ironic that the last big conference was Res, and NDGCR, but the last big one, and there was like only a couple of rumored cases, but within a couple of weeks, the whole world turned on us. We cannot let that world turn that direction again. And it takes hard work, it takes discipline and responsibility, and that's what we're here for. That's why we're here. That's why we can do this show. That's why we can go forward, because we put our minds to our effort behind this and put our heart in this. And we're doing our best to not just rebuild our industry, but to protect one another and look out for our elders all the way down to those young ones who are also, they say the younger ones are also potential for the Delta variant. So we got to keep protecting them and keep looking out for our community.
I agree. And Chairman, you mentioned something really profound there, which is really about protecting our families and making sure that this this disease doesn't come back to our homes again. You know, one of the things that I love about our industry is that the fact that all of our, not all of them, but I'd say a major majority of them, of the vendors and the people that work in Indian country are very responsible, and they understand to develop these relationships with the tribes and to do business and to be successful. It's really about honesty and integrity, and the people who work with us and the people that I deal with on an almost daily basis are very responsible people, and they understand that too. So I think within our industry and the people that we work with, I think there are going to be very responsible, because I know they understand the relationships in Indian country. I think it's a lot of these new people that are going to come in and they're just exuberant, and I'm seeing this irrational exuberance. People really want to be there. So I think, you know, as long as we nail this message home, and I think when you see other people wearing masks, and you're going to be in an environment where people will be wearing masks. And by the way, I will be wearing a mask. So I think you know, we have a really good chance here. I believe that the people who work in Indian country and a lot of our vendors are very responsible and understand the importance of it in Indian country too. So
everybody knows that we're all in this together. I think that's why we are where we are today. That's what got us through this thing, is that we are in this together, and we've got to save the world. And you know, we've been in some battles before. This one's no different, and I think that we're doing well. We got to can't relax. We got to stay intense, and we got to stay in a manner that reflects that we want to build our future back and get our economies back on their feet, but most importantly, keep our communities healthy.
Yep, absolutely, Chairman. And, you know, and I think we're doing a good job, and we're on the way there too. So I'm very optimistic about going forward. This, you know, before we dig into the booths and the sessions, which I think are very important, we have a question here from an anonymous attendee. He said, "Is the Commissioner Level 3 training a hybrid? During Level 2, they said it would be available by Zoom." And actually, you know, this brings an interesting question about training and videos and stuff like that. And so just real quick, Jason, do you know, is there going to be Zoom for the training, and are we doing stuff like that?
There is not. For the commissioner training, there is not. Once Vegas fully opened up, there was no need to try to do a hybrid Zoom / in-person type of training. Now if you missed Level 2 and now it's Level 3, and then after that, of course, we know we have masters. Does that mean you're going to be behind the 8 ball? No. We've got lots of training coming up where you can make up a Level 2 or Level 3, and then culminating once again in sort of the same training schedule at our mid-year at Pechanga, November 16 through 19, where we'll do this all again, have a Level 3 and the masters at Pechanga. So there's plenty of time to catch up on the training from that regard, and that is a good question. But you know, this again, the training sold out really quickly. I know on a lot of the content, all of a sudden, is very timely. You just had the Senate announce that they're going to push to get this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill passed before August. So we've got a lot of sessions. We've got our membership meeting where we're going to be talking about the needs in Indian country. You know, they would announce that they're going to do a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill unless they knew they had the 50 votes, because they're going to do it by budget reconciliation, which is more of a procedural maneuver, so you can avoid the filibuster. You don't need 60 votes. The problem is anything that requires new funding will not be included in that. And that's unfortunately for Indian country, a lot of the programs and stuff that we advocate for on the reservation do need new funding. But that isn't to say you're not going to get better roads, better healthcare, better infrastructure, drainage, water systems, all that stuff on reservations that needs upgrading. If they're going to get that done before August, talking about it next week and talking to people trying to figure out what should be at the top of the list, that's incredible. We also have a cannabis training, which had we known there would be such demand for it, that sold out in about 2 minutes, 60 people. But that was mostly focused on, you know, human resources. What do you do if you're in a state or on a reservation where cannabis is legal? You don't need to, should you drug test for them? What about the background checks? All the federal background checks still require and include a marijuana test. What happens? What all those kind of on the ground issues that come up on every day at the casinos, especially for HR managers. Well, lo and behold, today Schumer also said they're going to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level and get that done fairly quickly as well. And again, he wouldn't announce that unless he had, and there's a lot of Republican states now that have legalized marijuana, so that should pass fairly quickly too. And we've got a cannabis training going on directly about that issue. So a lot of things are breaking very timely if you're coming to this conference in terms of content, and you want to hear from some administration folks. We've got White House tribal liaison coming, and we can talk about NIGC. All those things are going to be going on at the trade show, along with Rez is very impressive what Rez is doing over at their for the financial and economic aspects. They have some very great sessions, but also don't forget their trade show too. They have a trade show floor as well, where a lot of Indian-owned businesses will be doing business to business with other vendors, trying to get contracts and things of that nature. So, I know Chairman and I will be over there Monday as much as we can, and we'll be over there as much as we can the rest of the week, understanding that our trade show starts Wednesday and Thursday. So,
Jason, if I could just tag on just a little bit there. I'm a board member for the National Center, and I'm excited about that. Obviously, we're going to take care of those protocols early on, and I'll focus on NIGA's trade show. But again, it's kind of almost like the old days when the National Center started. My father was a bunch of these guys who just sat around the table, and they had very little resources, but they wanted to figure out how to empower Indian business, for Indian businesses, Indian people to be an Indian enterprise, to be a part of all the money that goes through Indian country. And I think they did an amazing job. And so right now here we're back in where we're not back to there, but we're in a position where we have to get to the point where we're going to be trying to help our Indian businesses, our tribal enterprises, and our folks get back on their feet. I think the bottom line here is that too many people, because of the pandemic, have lost their jobs, have been forced into retirement because the money's not there. We have to create this market. And fortunately, I think, and for the most part, gaming is on a good recovery trend. And I think that we have to keep it that way, but we also have to understand the responsibility that we have at the National Center, that we have to create jobs. We have to create more opportunity, and we have to get Indian people in business, and we have to get our tribal enterprise out there thriving. That's what it's set out to do. Now it's kind of a time to re-energize that. I think it's maybe not a coincidence that we're walking together in Las Vegas, because this is where the machine is. These Indian country leaders, men and women leaders, educated leaders, we're now the experts. I've said this before, that we used to have to get a lot of help. We'll continue to get help. But Indian country has a lot of educated people, a lot of managers, a lot of people, CPAs, different things like that, a lot of things going on. And together we will continue to count on the outside industry to build our industry going forward. That's what this is about. So it's a really good, inspirational new beginning as we fight our way out of this pandemic. Indian country putting their business minds together. I think it's really, really a timely part in American and Indian country history right now.
I agree. And, and our original intent with this strategy was to create this pro-business environment with Rez and with NIGA. Is like, we're here to do business. We're here to do deals. Let's do it. And then also I'd like to point out to our people who are in the gaming industry is that, it's a great opportunity to go over there to meet other Native Americans and other businesses. And it's another avenue to reach into Indian country that you don't normally have. So I'd like to point out how unique the opportunity is. And I would recommend people who've never been to Rez to go over there, to get a ticket, to go network. It's really going to be a great event. And I think with NIGA and with Res 21, I think we've just created this really great business environment. So I'm excited about it. I'd like to go back to a couple of things that were said between Jason and Chairman. First of all, marijuana is illegal Really? Is that true? I had no. I'm from California, so we don't know anything like that.
Conversation, guys.
Cannabis is illegal? Really? Where? I live in like I said, I live in California, so it's been legal since the 30s, I believe.
I don't know about that. Hey, Vegas, it's every place in Vegas. Yeah. But unless it's some of that expensive salve I can put on my arthritis, I don't want any part of it.
Wow. Hey, yeah, go ahead, Chairman.
I'm just telling you the salve that salve works. That Jason gave me some. That was a while back, but you could only buy it in Vegas. It wasn't cheap, but when you have arthritis in your joints, that stuff goes right in there. So I'm not a big marijuana guy or cannabis guy, but I'm a health guy, and I'm a tribal economic development guy. So our tribes can make money off these new offshoots of the marijuana industry. I'm okay with all that. I'm just not one for smoking it. That's all.
Yeah, and Chairman Stevens brings up a really great point. The fact that that we're doing cannabis and that it's sold out so quick, and we've always had these sessions that are very well attended whenever we do them. So it just drives home the point that this is a very integral part of our future and for business opportunities. So I think everyone's looking at it. They saw one of the few pandemic-proof businesses was cannabis. I know in California here, the delivery people were considered first responders. So, it was a big deal in California. So, hey, so in another issue that I'd like to talk about before we go into the sessions and stuff like that was the fact that, we chose not to do video webcasts or to stream these sessions for two reasons. A, it's very, very expensive. For us to do it and to do it right, it would cost a lot of money. We would have to bring up the price of the tickets, and to do it online, it was just too expensive and too much time for us. So, we went into this with our eyes wide open, and we said, we're going to do a physical session. We want people to be here, to be on the floor, to do the deals. And, as great as webcasts are, it's still hard to do business and still hard to network when you're using this format. So for us, it was really important to make sure people were there. That doesn't mean we're not going to do it in the future. I think there's a real value in some of the training and some of the sessions and getting the information out there. But, we are a nonprofit, and it's very important that people attend our show. And, like everyone else, in the country, we took a big hit during the pandemic. And so we're very excited the conference to be coming back. But that's one of the reasons why you don't see streaming. It's so expensive, and the amount of time that we had, it just weren't able to do it. But like I said, hopefully in the future we will do more and about sharing that information and getting it out there.
Just real quickly, just on that, a real quick point on that subject. Yeah, we are going to do that. You're right. And I think I think we made the best decision in order to get our work done at the show in person. But believe me, we learned a few things during the pandemic. And that's the Zoom and the virtual and all that stuff. That's going to stay a part of our function. So wherever we got to make up time or wherever we can't reach folks, we're going to continue to utilize it, but not during the trade show. But we will come back with some good virtual and Zoom kind of technology to help our folks get through the training, different things. And we'll let folks know that after the trade show. But we're not going to let that technology go. It served us well during the pandemic.
Yeah. So let's talk about the sessions. Now, as you know, this is actually my department. I've been working on this for, 5 months or something like that. It's been a real challenge. The big challenge for me has been how fast the pandemic recovery has been. We thought it would be gradual and open, but it just went off like a rocket. And so, the first iteration of the agenda, I had to change again and again and again, because we were talking about post-pandemic recovery, restaurants, restaurants are open, concerts are open. And so it was a real moving target for a while, but I think we have a really solid education session. We begin on Monday. We're doing a thing called Deep Dive. And what we're doing is we're looking at 3 sports betting markets. And by the way, let me reiterate that one of the things that we did for this conference is that we wanted to make sure that it was timely and it was important. So what we did, we really leaned heavily into sports betting, online gaming and stuff like that, because these are the issues that everyone's talking about. If you look at what's happening in Florida right now. It's sports betting. You look what's happening in California. That's a big deal. But the one we're looking at right now, we're going to be looking at Arizona. We're going to be looking at Washington, and we're going to be looking at California, because those are three very important states right now in sports betting. You know, they're going live in Arizona for football season. In Washington, they're going to be taking a little bit longer, but they're going to be moving forward. In California, the story still has to be told, but there's enough votes for the tribes to have a referendum on sports betting in 2022. There's rumors that FanDuel and DraftKings are going to run an initiative in California like they're trying to do in Florida, to legalize mobile. Mobile is a real big issue. We will be talking about mobile. We will be talking about IGRA. We will be talking about all these important issues. So if you want to know about these markets that are going to be opening, this is exclusive content. It is not part of everything else. So you have to be there on Monday. It's half the day. We have a lot of the important players, and we will be talking about sports betting on Tuesday. We'll be talking about California with Chairman Maccaro and Chairman James Siva from CNIGA, and there will be a nice big announcement on what's going to be happening in California. So we have a lot of sessions that are very forward looking. We're doing a lot of, like I said, sports betting, artificial intelligence, just so much stuff too. So, I think we put together a really great conference. I think the content is phenomenal. The fact that people are signing up, it makes us really happy, because to be honest with you guys, we had no idea if this thing was going to take off. Am I right, Jason? It was pretty nerve-wracking. We had no idea. It was just a crapshoot. But we just figured, well, it was either now or never. And the fact that Rez was going to do it, and it was really easy to team up with them. It was very it was almost a yes. It was like initially all we had to say, hey, we want to do it. What do you guys think? They're like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we've created a very pro-business environment, a place to do business, a place to network, a place to meet your next deal. And that's what we were trying to accomplish. And I think that's what we have accomplished. As Jason said, November, we're doing the mid-year at Pachanga. Is that what you said? That was the first I've heard of
November
this.
16 through 19. We're looking forward to that one, Victor, because that's going to take us right into 2022 and our trade show in Anaheim in 2022. 2022 is an election year. So that November mid-year, in a lot of ways, is going to be a little more policy hard hitting than this trade show, because again, this trade show was created and planned with so many uncertainties. We just couldn't do all the things we normally do, and you're going to see also the Biden administration's still, they've barely been in office 6 months. By November, they'll have almost a year under their belt. So a lot of things will be different in November, very different, I should say.
Yeah, and Jason brings a good point, which is the fact that mid-year is a different beast than annual. You know what I mean? It really is about politics and policy. The trade show is really non-existent. It's really about leadership and other people in the industry there to talk business and talk policy. And like Jason says, there's so much going on in sports betting and mobile. And, and which is wild was that, even 2 years ago, we really couldn't talk about it because people weren't there. And now that tribes are doing it, we can have these discussions. And like I said, we're really focusing on sports. And go ahead, Jason.
Also, Victor, with these, I know California won't have sports betting yet, but a lot of these states will. And the rush to legalize sports betting and online sports betting is basically to get everything in place for the football season, which is the number one sport being gambled on in America. So this will actually be the first football season we see where gambling on football will be ubiquitous. It's pretty much going to be anywhere in the country. If you want to get a bet in, don't kid yourself. You can drive across state borders, or people have ways of getting an online account, or their buddy in another state, just give them money to put bets in for you. All that kind of stuff will be going on. Yeah. Don't bet on the Packers during the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
We don't even know if the chairman's quarterback is going to show up for summer training.
Oh, wow.
Their QB went all Hollywood on us, but
Oh, wow. Ernie, you okay? Are you okay over there?
No, I put it back. I put it back.
but this is going to be a big experiment, and I'm curious to see how Arizona, all these venues, how it's going to work for them with the crush of football betting. I suspect it'll be fine, but there's a lot of unknowns out there. Like, for one, the players and everybody. I mean, how do you stop them from whatever, sharing information? All that stuff is going to be brand new. And, you look at the history of this: soccer, tennis, they've been through some pretty bad sports gambling issues in the last 10 years. And it has to do a lot with just insider information. But, America, and I can't get down on the state level. I suspect tribal casinos are pretty well set up for it, to monitor that stuff, especially in a state like New Mexico, where the Pueblos and Navajo Nation took it very seriously there, whether they should allow college football betting, amateur football betting. They worked with the state to try to come at some solutions. But on a national level, there's a lot of things that could go sideways. And I hope that they don't, but it's going to be worth watching, because the federal intervention is always what looms over all of this, whether there'll be federal intervention at some point.
Yeah, and then don't forget, I was just reading this morning about the whole college player in sports and being compensated for it, and all the can of worms that's opening up too.
Yeah,
And
that's already started.
Yeah,
like college athletes have already signed multi-million-dollar deals, and because they can sell their likeness now. The university does not own their likeness. So you see the quarterback of Auburn, which there's probably one person that I know of in the NIGA universe that knows who the current quarterback of Auburn is. He just signed a multi-million-dollar deal with the local car dealership in Auburn, Alabama. And he's not even that good of a quarterback. And so it's just hilarious.
But that's true. Isn't that traditional? They all sign deals with the local car dealership when they get to college.
Exactly.
Isn't that traditional?
Right.
It's just, it brings a new and interesting dynamic. And if you want to drill a little deeper, I think we're really going to have to deal with addiction issues and stuff like that. And I think that's why it's very important. I think you see an industry, again, I'll use the word irrational exuberance. Everybody's losing their mind to be the first to market, and nobody's really thinking about the ramifications. But you know what? That's a show for another day. And I think we've done that one, and we can do it again too. It's, again, so to wrap up to everyone, the conference is going to be packed. The fact that Jason mentions if the welcome reception is sold out already, I know people are talking about it and planning it to be there, like it's going to be happening. So that is surprising. I think the fact that the cannabis thing sold out is very surprising, but it shouldn't be. We've known all along that this is very an issue that everyone is talking about. And I think, again, we want to reiterate that, it's important, if you're not vaccinated, wear your mask, be responsible. I think, again, most Native Americans statistically have been vaccinated. We're going to be in an environment where people aren't wearing masks. So I think it's important for us to be responsible. But, again, I've been vaccinated. I was positive at Christmas. I'm still wearing my mask too. So, that's how we're doing it. We have a question here from Steve Pastorino. Hello, Steve. How are you doing? And thanks a lot for sticking with us today. All right. Jason, this is for you.
Okay.
It says, at U.S. Integrity, we monitor sports betting for clients, including tribes. That's Steve has a business. And so anyhow, Steve is saying he's a new person. He's talking about integrity and stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there that can help them. They can help the tribes and stuff. So it's a very important issue, and especially for new people coming into the market, and especially if you want to get into sports betting, the National Indian Gaming Association is the place where you want to be. Right. Get on an airplane. Don't worry about the 2-week quarantine when you get back home. No one's going to miss you anyhow. So come to the conference. This is where we're all going to be doing business. It's hard to do business over Zoom. It's a lot easier to do it in person. Thanks, Jason. We really appreciate that. Then we have another question here from the National regarding commissioner certification. Deanna has actually started reaching out to people registered for commissioner certification to see if they are coming in person or virtually and providing links. So if anyone wanting to go virtually instead of in person, they can, but only for commissioner certification. So the rest of them don't have it, but for commissioner certification, there is a virtual. So that's important.
Right.
And that still will allow you, so you don't miss that if you don't attend. But like we said, later on down the road, I can imagine us having this. It's very convenient, and it's our job to make it as easy for you to make your career choices and you move up the ladder and stuff like that. And that's what this whole program is about. So thanks everyone. Jason, so let's wrap up a little bit, Chairman.
Can I get a couple of plugs in real quick?
We would love to hear your plugs.
Okay, all right. So one of the big panels, our breakout. It's a, what do we call it, Jason? Our protecting today, preparing for tomorrow. Domestic
keynote?
extremism and cybersecurity.
The keynote, Chairman. Yeah.
Our keynote on Wednesday morning at 8:30. And that we'll get an opening session from Frances Alvarez. She's the chair lady of the Tribal Gaming Protection Network. It'll be moderated by Walt Lamar from Lamar and Associates, retired FBI. And then our panel is Oscar Schuyler, Executive Director of Morongo Gaming Agencies. David Villapando, Executive Director, Pokagon of Potawatomi Gaming Commission. Mike Lemieux is a principal consultant with Whitewater LLC, and Sequoia Cinemiter, the chairman of the NIGC. This is really important stuff here, and this will set us on a table to a continuing work effort in dealing with all these different things that come from all over the place that are starting to get involved in our tribal facilities. Domestic extremism and cybersecurity, we have to get out there and be out front on this one. So it's very, very important on this one. And then my last plug is my good friend, the late Rick Hill. We'll be honoring him as a part of the Sovereign Warrior Recognition Luncheon. Gay Kingman Wapato will invite us to honor Rick along with her late husband. They were best buddies and led the way and helped us to establish our strength in Washington, D.C., establish a presence, an office, and a constant voice in Washington, D.C. And we'll be memorializing Rick, and the keynote speakers will be his son, Richard Elm Hill, and then the former chairman at Sequan, Daniel Tucker, will give the keynotes for this luncheon. It's 12:45 on Tuesday. It's a ticketed event, and then we'll have Williams and Reed there and some other folks, but mostly it's a Gay. She will help us to tell us a little bit about where we started, where we come from, and again, honoring our great hero in Rick Hill. And every part of this pandemic, his picture is set right behind me. And all I do is think about, what would Rick do? What would he do? You know, Rick wasn't a rocket scientist, but he was a worker, and he was smarter than most everybody I knew, but his work came through like our dads. Our dads were best buddies, and their work came, their brilliance came from their work, and that's respective of Indian country. So anyway, remembering the late Rick Hill.
Yeah, and also I'd like to bring out that Chairman Stevens is doing a keynote on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. on the trade show floor. So the ribbon cutting will be at 10. That opens up the floor, and then we'll have an opening there. And before the ribbon cutting on Wednesday, we'll have the keynote at 8:30 with Walt on security. And Chairman brings up a really, really important point, because as some of you may or may not know, we've had really bad hacking cases. We had it in Oklahoma, we have it around the country, and there's even a bunch that we haven't even heard about. So I'm hearing stuff that's underneath the radar, but it's really bad. So I think it's important that you do attend this. And then I would like you to also attend Chairman's keynote at 10 a.m. And probably a very important one is I'm giving the closing keynote at 2 p.m. on Thursday. So to be of real service, I'll be announcing checkout times at the airport when flights are leaving at McCarran. I'll probably be over at the security line at McCarran because I want to have a full room. So I'll be at the airport.
There's like a $5,000 giveaway centered around there. So
Yeah.
that
Listen, if my charm doesn't do it, that $5,000 we hopefully will be, and so listen, we've put it in. The bottom line is we really worked our butt off to put together the best conference we can. I think we got really lucky. I think everyone who's going to go is going to be very happy. Again, it's a pro-business environment. We're there to do business. We're there to make deals. So that's what we were creating, and that's, I think, what we got. Brian, before I wrap up, would you like to say anything and educate our guests?
Victor, one thing that we've been talking about, and Jason, we have to, and Chairman, was, there's going to be so much activity there at the event. We really want to thank all the manufacturers that are there because they have been supporting the industry. But one area that keeps popping up is one that we've spoken about is, Indian country on the Strip with San Manuel doing what they're doing and the folks on with Virgin and things. So there's so much going on with all the regulations and esports, everything that you folks mentioned. But another one that I hear quite a bit is, what's going on with that. And I refer to you folks because you're the experts on it, but that's something new that also all the Vegas commercial or Indian country has been talking about a lot as well. So there's so much happening that it's amazing. It's all going to be able to fit in one arena.
Mm-hmm. That brings home a really valid point. The Palms isn't open yet. The tribe, San Manuel, purchased for $600 million. So that's all still has to be open. Mohegan is managing the Virgin Casino over there at the former Hard Rock. So that's very exciting. So basically, Las Vegas is going to be Indian country for almost a week. So, everyone should feel comfortable and, don't be afraid to walk with pride because you should. We've accomplished a lot in a very short amount of time, and so we look forward to seeing everyone there. Chairman, Jason, what would you like to say and wrap up?
No, Chair. I mean, I've said my piece. I just want everyone to come out there and be safe and have fun and read the signs and know where you're going. We don't want you to get lost outside or miss an event because you walked.
Yeah, be careful.
The valleys and not Harris. Yeah.
Be careful, stick together, look out for one another and be safe. And nowadays this means so much more, but we can do this. I think we're going to knock this one out of the park. But again, we got to be careful, be safe. We've got to look out for one another. And again, this is not just Indian country. This is the whole world looking at us because we're going to take us in another giant step towards whatever the new normal is. And that's working together, doing our business, respecting one another and loving one another. That's what we do in Indian country.
Yeah, I agree. And then I'd like to add one more thing. I think it's very important that things have been changing very quick. So make sure you download the app. Use the app to look at all the latest information. It's been a moving target. We're dealing with cancellations still and people deciding at the last minute. So make sure you download the app. Make sure you write down the sessions that you want to see. Do your homework, do your prep, and it's going to be a great show. We promise that. Okay. And Chairman, you got the last word for that. I know you just said something, but here's your last word, sir.
Okay, well, you keep giving me the last word. I'll keep talking. I've got an 82-year-old mother who is perfectly healthy, got both of her vaccines early on, even though she's always had a little issue with the government. She's an activist in her heart yet, even though she's 82, she drives her car, stays busy. She had a knee replacement during the pandemic era, and she's still plugging away. So I think it's really important that we just, again, keep looking out for our elders and keep taking care of our communities. And it's going to take putting our minds together for us to be able to put our world back together again. And again, I'm very proud to say that Indian country is a major part of that. They are the role models. They are the standard. And again, let's keep doing it and stay strong. And again, our Indian gaming family is not just about Indian country. We're all in this together. Half our employers are non-Indians. The work that we're doing resonates through this whole country, and we're trying to get it to resonate through this whole world. So it's Indian gaming family leading the charge, and we're really excited about it.
Absolutely. And so on that note, and wrap it up, I'll be flying into Vegas on Friday to get there a little early with my family. But we'll be back at work on Sunday. If you guys need to get in touch with us, you know how to get in touch with us. If you have any questions, go ahead and email us at erniestevens@aol.com. Just kidding. That's not his email. I'm just joking. That's not his email. So anyway, listen, thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys on the floor in Vegas next week. And we really appreciate you. And we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow. Have a good week.